วัสดีครับProgress so far. The toilet's been blocked off, so access is the long way around now. Sweaty cup. That's Ned's children, I believe. Yes, starting to look a bit darker in here now. Right, they've all gone off to lunch in the pouring rain, which has just arrived. So they've got to a point with the bathroom wall there where the next thing is to put a beam from post to post, and they've got to a point with this wall here, the same point where the beam will be going from post to post and over the doorway, and they've just got to infill in the middle of the two doors here to get to the same position and build this wall, which has just been started, and then they'll be looking to set up their wood for the beam work, which will be poured probably, I would suggest, tomorrow, because there's a lot of fiddly bits to do before they get there, a lot of infilling and prep. Meanwhile, this space, which is going to be the kitchen, I've marked out where the blockwork has to be built in my absence. Aha. And they will be building a Thai style kitchen where they build the units effectively out of block, and then we put doors into gaps which they have skillfully left. So we're going to have a kitchen base units along here, and then they'll go along here. Washing machine here, fridge freezer here, and also we're going to have a counter sticking out from this pillar, which will be additional storage that's sort of hidden really. It's not going to have any doors on it, we just want it open, so the counter front will be like a bar. The counter front will be facing into the living area, and then down here we can store things like bottled water and soft drinks and cleaning items like mop and bucket. Store it under the counter, and the counter will be useful for food prep and serving vast quantities of beer to my friends when they all turn up for the housewarming. Well, both of them anyway. It's amazing how quickly they get through the blocks. We had an extra 1,000 blocks delivered, which were 3 of these lumps, one of which was there and is now gone, and a few odd ones which were put over there somewhere, and they've gone already as well. So they've used 1/3 of the extra order for the last few days. They'll probably use another whole lump pallet before they finish the internal walls, and then the other pallet will be used for creating the steps going out here, which we've just been discussing. They're going to be 1.4 meters wide. This is a 4.1 meter opening, so we need to create steps here, we need to create steps around for the kitchen, and we need to build the kitchen units the base units. So they'll go pretty quick. Hopefully we've calculated so we don't have too many left over, because Suntray's got no plans for using any blocks in her cow shed, so they'll be sitting around for a while if they're left over. Yes, well, this is with gutters on the roof and hardly any of the ground space being subject to rainfall. But we are having leaking gutters on this side still, because they haven't been redone from when they were first fitted. So there is extra water coming off in the corner, there, and on a couple of joints as well. Through a couple of joints. And we had this last night, very heavy rain, and the water is sitting on the surface here. It does soak in fairly quickly. I think it's mainly because just underneath the surface here is clay, and it's just resisting the water going through. But after it's been not raining for about half an hour to an hour, this area is dry, or it was last night anyway. Rain's easing off a bit now. Let's have a look at the disaster out here. So this is it was the same as this last night. All the water from the higher ground up there has come down and concentrated in this area. Unfortunately, it started last night and it's continuing today. It's draining into the next field, but it's taking the road with it. Just there is a big hole appearing, and it's getting bigger as the water erodes it. It's travelling across the road, so we are in danger of being cut off here. We've got a couple of other of these sorts of things happening along this road further on from us, 2 or 3 of them, and this is the one that's the most worrying, because this is what we passed to go back to the village, and that fast flowing water is eroding that fairly steadily and fairly quickly. So if it continues raining this afternoon, that hole at the edge could be halfway across the road. Incidentally, I built up the soil on this corner here, and all along here actually, and you can see that it's pretty much reaching the wall, especially just below me, so it could do with a bit more soil putting on there really. And it just shows that that was a good thing to do. Otherwise the foundations of this wall would be subject to this water moving past it all the time. This is my final afternoon of filming. In a few days' time I go back to the UK for 6 weeks. I haven't been there for a couple of years because of COVID. Over 2 years, 2.5 years now. I've been stuck in Thailand. Stuck in the sense that it's either not been possible to go home or not been very desirable to go home. Now, these are the other areas that are really suffering. You see the erosion here. This is just beyond the house. There's 3 parts, 3 areas which are washing away, close to each other. This is probably the worst one of the 3, but it's the furthest one away as well. And what's really happening is that the softer soil, because this is really a sandy area around here predominantly, when the water drops down to the bottom there, it's actually washing the sand away from the bottom, and gradually it washes away the sand. As it falls in, it washes away backwards, and then the edge collapses. The edge being a harder soil that the council have put here to make the road surface. So we're a bit vulnerable all the way along here really, because this road hasn't been made properly. And when they do concrete it, they're really going to have to deal with this edge all along here properly. It's no good them just putting concrete down and hoping for the best, because it will be collapsing within a few months, I reckon. Central's pasture is completely flooded now. But hopefully her drainage system will work and it will make its way down to the lower fields where the rice is planted. Still, look on the bright side, we don't have to clean the drive after a storm like that. Look at it, it's lovely now. I should have moved my car really, so it would have done that area as well. Well, we've had a good final day for me. These guys haven't achieved quite as much as I thought they would. But they are on a fixed price contract, so the longer they take, the less profitable it is for them. And we're in no great hurry, everything's lined up to be done as and when. But with me going to the UK until early September, the only thing we're aiming to do really is to try and complete the house by the end of September, before Suntere starts work again in her medical orientated job. I've got a bit of cleaning up being done here. Got a temporary tap stuck on the end of one of the pipes in the bathrooms because they're going to be using a lot of water when they're mixing render, so it will save walking all the way around the house to get the water. So I won't see them actually bricking up these pipes in the shower rooms, which is a shame because I would have liked to have just made sure about those, but I've marked the ground, I've talked to Suntory a lot, the builders have been listening in as well. I've told them what I expect in terms of the depth of render and how far these pipes stick out of the wall, which is different from the tie way. So we'll see what happens. We've got a little bit of muck left, so it's sort of home time now, but they'll carry on until this is used up. So it looks like the side of that door and these blocks up to door height. So hopefully they can crack on tomorrow with doing the beams. Finally, we've been discussing the standing water in the garden, and we've got a plan. Let me just hobble to the corner here. So we've got a drainage pipe sticking out down there. And what we've decided to do, Suntory's decided to do, I should say, is once we've built up this retaining wall a bit so we can get our soil level, before she spreads the soil out, she's going to dig down and find that pipe on this side, and she's going to basically tee it off and bring a pipe up, and we will find a level for the pipe that is just above the soil level, but it will be underneath the layer of stones we're going to put down, and we'll cover it with mesh of some description, and we'll put stones on top, and that means that any water like this that collects in this corner after we've levelled the site, because there will be a tendency for it to come into this corner, I think, because the hard soil underneath, which is keeping it on the surface, is basically sloping from the back of the plot to the front here. So that means that there'll be a way out for this water, quite a rapid way out. And I don't know if you can see, but the third drainage pipe along is actually working. It's dripping away, so it's obviously working to expel water that's behind the wall and down at the bottom of the wall. I haven't seen any drips from any of the other pipes yet. I can't really get any closer because of the flood that I'm almost standing in. But it is basically that pipe there. So we've got at least one pipe that's worked. There is evidence that the other pipes have worked as well, because there's a bit of sand coming out of them. But none of them are actually dripping today. Maybe they're blocked up already, I don't know. So this isn't the end of the building series. I hope to receive photographs from Suntory so I can post those as an update, and when I come back in September there'll still be loads to do, I'm sure. Mainly the interior will be finished, except that the tiling will need to be done and the fitting of the kitchen will need to be done, and all the fitments in the kitchen and the bathrooms will need to be done, and I'm sure there'll be still a fair amount of work outside to be done. So I will hopefully be able to continue on with some details. Now here's a lovely thing. I thought, oh, we're at the end of the day, I'll just have a Pepsi Cola. Look what's found its way onto my bottle. This guy's huge. And he really does look like a leaf. Looks like he's wearing leaf overcoats. Look, darling. A giant one.